Chris, how big a game is this for you guys? The Bulls have been very, we wouldn't say they've been reasonably dominant at home, but traveling has been a bit of an issue. So how important does getting points in this game become for the Bulls?
Well, any home game is very important. But not that. Obviously, it's great to play against the Stormers. I think they're a very good team, and it's great. It's always nice to go up against with the old rivals. And being back at Loftus, like I said, Loftus has been good for us. It's just nice to being at home for a while now. So we're definitely going to use that opportunity just to express ourselves and to obviously enjoy ourselves.
How have they evolved, the Stormers, from what you've seen in your time at the Bulls? Because they were a team that couldn't find a particular way of playing, especially towards the end of the Super Rugby era, but they found something that has actually started to work for them in the URC.
We all know they love chaos. Okay, they got very exciting backs. I think that their defence was always been probably their source of energy, and that has gone to the next level. That's probably the best defensive side in the competition. And I think what happened after COVID, we all know there was some probably off-field stuff that distracted them a little bit. But I think they found their way of how they want to play. I think Darby is doing a great job. So is Norman. And the way they want to play is that they want to give their exciting players space to run. And I think they found that perfect mix between running and kicking, built on a great defensive system. So obviously Super Rugby is a long time ago, but they definitely did that, and that's always been their strength.
You mentioned the word chaos. I remember Aaron Major using that particular term to describe how the Highlanders play and how difficult it is to actually manage a particular defensive game plan. How difficult is it to plan around a team that, as you put it, becomes chaotic on the field from a technical perspective?
But I think in the modern game, there's so much transition, which we call chaos, in training sessions, that every team is used to that. And then we know that's what they want. So you need to know that whatever you put in place, you can control those moments. And in the end, whoever controls those moments the best will be successful.
Happy, Cameron?
And how you just one slide, and then how you also control the emotions around what has become clearly the marquee game, the marquee South African game in the URC. Yes, there are decent rivalries between Sharks, Bulls, Sharks, Lions, but especially with what transpired last year, this has clearly become the marquee game of the URC in South Africa.
It's not about controlling the emotion, it's just letting it in. I think enjoying it. This is a special game. And not everyone has got the privilege to have such a game in their career. So we have that every year, two times, and like last year we had to fun it as well. So it's not about controlling the emotions, it's basically just sucking it all up and enjoying it. I think the same for them. It's just it's always been the game when I played to look forward to, and it still is. And yeah, like I said, the Stormers is a great team. They've come a long way, but they've nicely settled into their systems, and it will be nothing better for us to test ourselves against them, and then obviously try to enforce it.
Simon?
Hi Chris. Hi guys. How much work is there in a scenario in your team where you've lost Jake under some very trying circumstances, and Jake being back now? There's got to be a management of emotions and management of player expectations and stuff like that. How do you manage that? Obviously the guys are elated that Jake is back.
That's only the guys that's playing. No, so I'm joking. No, look, what Jake has put in place right from the start is a system where we are comfortable to execute whoever is missing on a day. Obviously, it was unfortunate for Jake to be out for 4 weeks. It's very nice to have him back. Obviously, we know he's got a certain skill set and a certain energy that he brings to the environment, and it's always nice to have your the head of your company and your coaching to be back. So what we did is that when he was away, we just went on as usual. The system, we just put in place over the years, we just executed it day to day. And then, obviously, coming back in the last week or two, we just made sure that we gave a proper rundown of what we did every day for the last 4 weeks, so that takeover is just as seamless as possible. And yeah, and I think we did that quite nicely. And yeah, so it's great to have him back, and the players enjoy it, the coaches enjoy it. So yeah, that's it.
Just to follow up on that, there have been great directors of rugby and great coaches all over the world, and especially at the Bulls as well. Are you saying that the systems and the protocol that you've established with Jake is so well entrenched that you could have gone on?
Yeah, I know that's a trick question, but
No.
no. So basically, remember, you get a director and you get a head coach, and Jake is fulfilling both those roles. And what we did from day one is that he's got a very he empowers you to run your system. So, and we just continued onto that system, and we've been doing that for 2 years. So he lets you go and do your thing within the system, and it was seamless. Only thing that you miss is probably game day and captains, where you get a lot of input. So that's that obviously thing that I handled. But I've been privileged to work under a few good coaches, and I'm sure it's probably the same everywhere, but on the Porto it was the same. Yeah, so that's it.
Toe ons laatste gepraat het jy gesê jy wil graag jou gesin sien weer na 'n paar maande op reis al oor die wêreld. Hoe het dit gegaan en hoe voel dit om terug te wees by die werk?
Ja, ek moet sê die tyd saam met ons families was baie lekker. Is net lekker om partykeer te connect met hulle op 'n ander vlak as binne die gejaag. En ek dink dit is goed vir die span in geheel ook om net 'n bietjie te rus. So almal is vol energie en reg om te gaan.
Natuurlijk is Saterdag 'n groot, veral nou die laaste 4 games, weet ons hoe dit gegaan het. Wat dink jy moet verander van die Bulls, die Bulls se perspektief om 'n wen te kry Saterdag?
Ja, nee, daar's 'n paar goed. Ek wil amper sarkasties gewees het, maar nee, ek dink die eerste ding wat jy moet acknowledge dat die Stormers is 'n goeie span en hoe hulle speel en wat hulle energie gee. Jy moet dit obviously aanspreek. En dan vir ons, ons is op 'n journey, soos ek gesê die laaste maand, waar ons moet seker maak ons convert die opportunities wat ons kry in die 22, en dan moet ons seker maak ons manage die middeldeel van die veld goed in terme van ons game management en ons dissipline. Ek dink ons het dit baie goed gedoen. Ek dink enigste wedstryd in die laaste maand was Lyon, wat ons obviously baie penalties afgestaan het, maar teen Dragons, Exeter en Scarlets was ek dink 9, 10 en 12 penalties. So dit is baie goed, ons sal aanhou daarmee. En ja, soos ek sê, dan om net vir Loftus te gebruik, soos in die verlede gedoen het, om vir ons net 'n lekker energie en geleentheid te gee.
Natuurlijk is daai energie altyd daar by Loftus, soos jy nou sê, maar die weer speel nie saam op die oomblikie. Is dit 'n probleem vir julle in terme van hoe julle wil speel, want ons weet julle hou daarvan om 'n aanvallende spel te speel?
Ja, ek dink dit sal hartseer wees vir albei spanne. Want ons weet obviously die Stormers hou ook daarvan om die bal rond te skuif. En ja, as ek kyk na die weervoorspelling, maar op 'n ander dag ek het al geleer, jy kyk en dan voor die game trek jy oop, jy weet, so ons sal soos die Stormers heel waarskynlik dit dophou en dan ons planne aanpas. Ek hoop is 'n mooi dag net vir die geleentheid, soos ek net gesê het, is 'n groot voorreg om dit so derby elke keer te speel. En ag vir die toeskouers en veral vir beide spanne sal dit lekker wees as dit nie reën nie, maar as dit reën, jy weet, hierdie ouens is goed genoeg om hulle skillset daarin te express.
Chris, baie dankie. Ek gaan 'n ongelukkige vraag hê. As jy nou in Afrikaans gesê het, net in Engels herhaal, maar ek sal maar die vraag vra. Chris, obviously we've seen the weather reports and we've seen the amount of rain in Gauteng. Have you guys had a look at the weather, and are you adjusting, or are you waiting for the day to see if you get a better prediction, better weather on the day?
No, so currently the app says it's going to rain. Obviously the fields are all a little bit soft, but like I just said, for both sides, the spectators, hopefully it's a dry game. but I've learned in the past that you could plan on that weather app, and we all know how technology goes, and then with an hour before the game, it just clears up. So hopefully it's a great day. There's a little bit of a pocket of good weather. And then, yeah, I'm sure both teams will obviously adapt like any game where there's bad weather or wind. So that would be obviously the case.
As a follow-up, I mean, you guys had a bit of a chance to reset, and I don't expect you to give anything tactic-wise away, but what aspects of the game have you guys focused on most in the build-up to this game?
Look, Jan, it was 10 weeks of obviously concert going, so it gave us a little bit of a break, and we only got back together last week Thursday. So there's not a lot to change. It's most probably reflecting on what we need to improve or execute better. So, like I said, the journey of January was our story in terms of discipline and converting and game management. We will continue because that's probably the three pillars of a good team and a team that's going to win on the day. So even though we had a little bit of a break, there wasn't probably enough time to change too much. So it's the status quo, just making sure that the lessons we learned, the experience that we've picked up, that we can execute and use that to be more clinical.
Just in terms, of course, everyone in the build-up to this game is looking at the fact that the Stormers have won the last 4 of these North-South derbies, but I think 3 of those last 4 have been decided by sort of 5 points or less. What do you think are the small things that you can change to make sure the result goes in your favour this time around?
Dylan, obviously, as supporters, we all know that everything works in cycles. I think before that, we've beaten them 4 times. At Newlands was the last time, and then we went to Cape Town Stadium. And fair play to the Stormers, I think they've changed something from last year, January, where they're in their rhythm. And basically we played, I think, 3 away of those 4. So the last time they've beaten us was at Loftus, last year, January. So it'll be our second one at home out of this 5. But yeah, we've been long enough, too long in this game that everything works in cycles. So, and once you've turned that cycle, then you need to stay on top. So our battle is to break that cycle, and obviously the Stormers will try to continue. And like I said, they're playing great rugby. It's nice to have them here. It's a great derby. We're really looking forward to playing them and playing them at Loftus.
Just as a follow-up, how much energy do you take out of playing at home in front of your home fans? Do you think that could give you a little bit of an edge in this one?
I mean, any team uses their home ground as advantage. At Loftus, even more with the altitude. We've played 5 games here. I think we've got 25 points. We've got maximum. So it's definitely a ground that you love to play on. And I felt, although it could rain, but definitely playing at Loftus, there's a different vibe here, and the guys are really looking forward to that.
And then finally, from my side, of course, you welcome back Sabu and Corsi. How, not to put too much pressure on his return, but how has he looked back in training with the guys this week?
Sabu is actually looking very, very good. But I'm not talking a performance point of view. I'm just as a person. He's really came back looking better. Obviously, the guys has accepted him back. So for us, he's on a journey, and we'll support him. In terms of the field, they're also looking very good. So hopefully, it will be a good run out for him, and obviously the start of a new journey.
Just one more from me, Chris. You mentioned game management earlier. And I remember at the end of the last game before your break, you spoke about I think someone asked you, do you know who's your best team? Having reflected now over the past few weeks and training now this week again, are you confident you do know what's your best team and not having guys like Kirtley and Kainan around, enough firepower in the back 3 to really take on the Stormers on attack?
That's something that Jake would decide which is the best team. And I've got a clear understanding which is our best team, and it's probably not the best team, it's probably the best combinations. We all know we will miss Kirtley and Kainan, but we've got full confidence in the guys that is going to do the job for us. So, yeah, to answer your question, we've got a very good understanding what combinations and teams is the best. And now we're in the final stretch. So whatever Jake decides, we'll go with that and make sure that we, in the last stretch, execute and get into the playoffs.
Just for the Stormers rush defense, they've got a lot of success in putting teams under when the opposition has ball in hand. You guys also prefer the ball in hand style. Is it sometimes a case of you've got to look at the opposition and decide you've got to play slightly differently in certain situations, just to give you some room to maneuver as well?
Yeah, Ashwak, obviously they've got the best defense in the competition. There's no, that's clear. Okay, so and probably the best rush defense. So it's important that the officials make sure that they call them offside, but they're very disciplined. And like you said, I take my hat off to Norman, what he's done there. So it's important that you manage those moments, because you can try to keep the ball. Obviously, they'll suffocate you. But we'll see on Saturday what happens. It's important to understand that. But it's, just to answer your question, it's very difficult to play against rush defense. So you need to be clear on what you want to do and how you're going to manage those moments. Yeah.